Blu-rays. Oh,
Patrick.
hey,
See you.
You ready?
It was already at 4:05. I made a mistake to get going. I keep acting just. I like to.
You want to get us going?
Sure. Yes, call the meeting order. I guess it's 5:07. The first item on the agenda is public communication and conference.
Okay. You guys have any issues you want to discuss? No? No. This is. Okay. All right.
Moving on, the next item are the minutes of June 1st. Everyone received a copy of the minutes. Any questions, comments, or corrections? All to the meeting. If there are no comments or corrections, we just need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3 is security.
All right. So, real quickly, we got a couple things to hand out. Okay, one, pass it around.
I think both of those are on the iPad.
Is anybody? Oh, there. Okay.
I don't have an
There was a report by address and a report by district, I think.
Need help to kill the tree?
Yes.
So we got two there. Clear, just whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so feedback has been great. So far, very, very positive. We had our security meeting of the 7 wards, I guess 8, counting 1A, last Tuesday, was it, Phil? Went really well. All the feedback, I'd say 90% of the feedback, maybe 95% that I've seen on Nextdoor and Facebook has been very positive. A couple very vocal but very minority naysayers out there that are concerned more with the costs and things like that. But overall, very, very positive work. The reports that you're looking at right now are 2. So one is showing a breakout of patrol by district. And this is not to go through and say, hey, 1B paid for 22%, we only got 20% of the patrol. This is to help us, and these publish on the 1B website every month. Say, I never see them over here. Well, I don't know why, because they're here all the time. And here's how often they're getting here in the district. I've broken out by day a week and also by hour a day. We're not 24/7 yet. I think we're at 70%, something like that. I think Tuesday was a day that we're clearly by that graph. It was a day that weren't really patrolling much. I think we're looking at 80% plus for July, by recollection. There's also a report in the back that I made especially for anybody gets concern from resident. Well, I just never seen by my house. I can run a report that says from the GPS data that for this period of time, they've been within 100 feet, 200 feet of your house this many times. Print that out. So hopefully we won't ever need that, but it's there if we need it. It's just another byproduct to really put together. There's been some feedback on the report, mostly concerns from Anthony in 1F that it doesn't accurately represent the 1F district. That's true, but it doesn't represent the 1E and the 1D district either because they're not contiguous districts. So it's really hard to have enough dots on there to show what we're trying to show. So we just asked somebody to make that clearer in the report title for next time. We'll do that for the 1F, 1D, and 1E district to say that's more representational of how much they're in their district, not the district at large. Let's see.
I saw him a couple of times when I was outside this weekend.
I've seen quite a bit. Yeah, they're all over.
If you're outside, you see them. Obviously.
So at a high level, beginning, this is up through last Tuesday, so the 28th, I guess. A total of 41 shifts were worked. Shifts are on Wednesday through Sundays, which is what's shown there, 11 to 7 to 7 to 3. Trying to maximize coverage. The month of July, we're transitioning judicial patrol Sunday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And 73 shifts out of 91 filled, so 80% fill rate. A little bit of a challenge staffing, aren't able to pull officers from some of the neighboring cities that we'd like to. but he thinks he's gonna get that covered regardless. So it looks like we're getting officers from further out, current and things like that. But I've met some of the officers, very nice guys. Let's see. They asked for purchase of traffic cones, traffic vests, first aid kit cables, floor mats and jumper cables for the patrol vehicle, which we as a group said less than $500. Let's go ahead and just get it done. Parcel out the cost of the district as we did. Let's see. I did ask again about the ability for them to hear and listen to municipal calls, and he assures us that does happen. As a matter of fact, he gave a story of there was an unfortunate incident where a little boy basically drowned in one of the pools. I forget which one it was, but they got the call and accepted the call. It was going up to the Louisville Police Department. They were on site. Fortunately, there was already a doctor there. I think the kid's dad was a doctor. He was resuscitated before the officers got there, but he did intercept the call and was go on route.
So they're just saying it successfully?
Yes, they are. Yeah. So far, everybody has been listening to the Louisville Police, and Chief Curbo has been very supportive after Tiger, so he doesn't view that as problematic at all from what Greg is telling us. One hiccup at the meeting, I was asked specifically through a private message on one of the social media sites, can you guys do vacation patrols? I brought that up at the meeting, and yes, that's a good idea. And Rick said, yeah, we can do that. So we put out the verbiage of what the email would say, the auto reply, the message that we'd send out. And we got 10 requests in a matter of 3 days. And I think it shook Greg a little bit. It's vacation time, so maybe we should have expected that. But now there's concerns that it's an overwhelming effort for Greg. So we're probably going to back off on that a little bit until we can meet on our next meeting and discuss how can we do this and not incur extra costs as even possible. The costs aren't for the extra shifts because these guys just going around the circle and over again. The cost is for coordinating. Who's going to keep track of who's on vacation when? How's that information get back down to the patrol car? Things like that. And one of the things he brought up was residents on vacation. Yeah.
So what do you do with that information?
So most cities have a vacation patrol. So you can go like in Carrollton, if you're going on vacation, they'll come by your house extra. They'll go by, twice a day instead of once a day. They may get out and check the doors. It just varies from city to city, but it's a very, very common offering that city police do. So that's part of what we have to define is what is that exactly? Is that going out and checking doors? Is that patrolling by twice a day instead of once a day? How does that get taken care of? So we're going to talk about that on our next patrol and our next security meeting. So now I have to send out an email, send out to the other boards representation today. If I don't hear any concerns by Friday, I'll send an email kind of rolling some of that back until next meeting.
So do they let know when they're on vacation?
There's an email that we set up through the 1B email system. It's patrols@castlegovernment.com. That sends a copy to me. I send a copy to Blue Line Services. And eventually I'll get off that because I don't need to go on vacation. But I just want to make sure it's working the way it should. There's also an email set up for, it's called tips. That might not be the best word for it. But for example, if you happen to know, because your kids know there's drug dealing going on at Part A or Part B, you can send that information in and they'll pay a little closer attention to that particular park in that particular area. We haven't had any hits on that so far, but that was also something I was requested to make specifically. Any questions about the patrol?
Yeah, I have one question for you, Metro.
Okay.
Are commercial areas covered?
Commercial areas are not covered.
So I've noticed a few times, I've watched the patrol daily with the GPS track.
Right.
And I've noticed them going into the apartments a number of times, even quite recently.
Yeah, that was brought up at the meeting, and there was some confusion by some of the officers about whether they should be patrolling out there. They said they were rectifying that, but they acknowledged they had been out there, but they shouldn't be out there.
So what is the feedback right now, what we are seeing, what we have done, other than just being visible? Is there anything?
So I'd ask for kind of vignettes and say, okay, well, let's hear some success stories. You've given one where an officer pulled up to a house and the van door had been open for a while. He noticed that. The officer noticed that someone knocked on the door and said, hey, your van door has been open for a couple hours. Did you mean to do that? And the lady was very thankful and said, no, I didn't mean to do that. Thank you very much. And he left. And he said, but very similar story that went the other direction. There's a car door that's open and officer went up and the lady, I guess, said, none of your business, get out of my, get out of here, mind your own business. I said, okay, well, it can't make everybody happy. He acknowledges that. He said, we get this everywhere we go, so it's nothing new for us. But overall, the officers seem to be very pleased patrolling out here. I talked to one officer, he said that when he's out patrolling, his kids in the golf cart came up next to him and gave him water and a bag of chips. So, they seem to be very welcome in the community and seems to be reciprocated. Other questions? Okay.
All right. So just need a motion to approve the security report.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next item is the, Denton Florida 1A report.
Yeah, if you look on your screen, page 14 is the income and expense summary by district through May, which would be 67% of the year. The revenue summary is on page 15. Again, at the top of the page, you have revenues on a district by district basis. Major revenue sources, again, this is through 8 months. Last year compared to this year, water and sewer were 16.1% ahead of last year through 8 months. Permits, we're lagging behind about 14% from where we were last year. Property taxes, we'll talk about more in a minute at the bottom of the page. We break out water and sewer. In the middle of the page, we had 290 new connects. And so water was up to 20.12%, and we had 284 new connects in the last 12 months, or 9.53% increase. Permits, we have the graph that we'll go into more detail on another page, but the blue is last year, the red is this year through 8 months, and the straight line average of our budget.
Sorry, you said 290 new connects. Is that like people moving, or is that new houses, new accounts?
It's compared to the last, it's mostly new houses.
So something
Last year compared, last May compared to this May. And we permitted 281 houses last fiscal year. So most likely it's mostly residential. Lower left, just the collections for the month of May for tax were 21,000, and collected for the districts 581, including B, you guys handle your own. And then on a percentage basis for both the maintenance and operation and the interest and reserve or INS, most of the districts were 99+%. Did a little comparison on the right here of last year's certified levy and preliminary levy for this year, showing the increases on a district by district basis. The cumulative total of 3,470,000 is about a 25% increase over last year's, and that's preliminary tax rolls. Page 16.
Phillips, you said 25% overall.
Yeah, if you take the 3,000,004, it doesn't include your district,
Right.
and you over the 13 million, it's about a 25% increase. And it varied from district to district. Some were less than 3%, and some were substantially more.
There were also new homes in there.
New homes, retail opening, stores opening, so.
You don't have it, Phil, you don't have a paper copy.
I don't have paper copies of this. It's very similar. Same-
Yeah, I know.
Same thing you guys looked at, yeah. It's the-
Are we posting this after?
Yeah, I'll post it this evening. I think it came out this morning.
Okay.
I think I actually did it, I can't say.
So we'll post this stuff on our website after the meeting.
Page 16 are expenses on a department by department. Again, we're 67% through the year through 8 months. 58.7 this year compared to 56.95. If you add in a budgeted developer reimbursement for District D of 700,000, then we would be 64.06 for last year and 65.09 through 8 months for this year.
What did you just say? Say that again about a budgeted developer reimbursement?
So District B has a
Oh, D.
$700,000 payment. District B David. Use airplane. B-boy and B David. Page 18 is water and sewer broken out on the lower left, or the upper left, the dark blue is 8 months of actuals to actuals, so we're 20.12% ahead. In actuals, we're 15.5% ahead of our budget through 8 months. Same thing on sewer, we're 9.53 actual to actual through 8 months, and we're 4.21 ahead of what we budgeted for 8 months. The connection, pardon?
We had a lot of rain, so I'm a little concerned about the revenues coming in.
Yeah, we made up a lot of ground last year in the last 4 months. And so probably will happen again, this year. Down at the bottom are the connections, it's comparing May of last year to May of this year, and 290 water, 284 sewer. The average temperature and rainfall in the lower right. Page 19 shows the number of permits and inspections, and so 1B had 25 inspections for the month of May, and those are detailed on the bottom of the page. Page 21 is the permit revenue, and again, the red is this year, blue is last year, straight line average is compared to our average. We're $34,000 through 8 months behind a straight line average. And so I'm thinking they're like Aldi has not permitted yet, but they bought the site. Unser is not permitted yet up near Culver's, and and so I don't know why they're waiting to permit, but we're expecting it this year. Could be October 1, I don't know. But optimistic about us finishing, at our budget of $381 for permit revenue. Page 23. Last year at this time, we had 172 permits through 8 months, and this year we have 182 single-family permits. So it's pretty close.
Can we look at this for just a second? We had an expected allocation of permits by district, right?
Say that again.
Yes. So is there somewhere that shows what we've actually sold versus expected? I'm just curious about how close we were to projecting out which district's going to get those permits.
I don't really follow.
So we went through and the budget for permit department is based upon a lot of things, I guess. But one of the things we've had concerns about is not based upon who's using the permit department. So if 1F is doing 90% of the permits, I was wondering if we could see that somewhere on here. Is that shown? So we had a budget, we put this and we said, okay, we think 1F is going to issue 20 permits. Everywhere else we have a percentage to budget.
Yeah, we do a true up at mid-year, and we do a true up at the end of the year on personnel and operations based on revenues, and one of the revenues is permit. Okay. And so
Yeah,
no, I don't have
residential small one down there at the bottom of page 19, where it shows different districts on residential.
Yeah, it doesn't show what you're asking. Bottom of 19 shows the number of permits, right, but no revenue associated. Yeah.
Right. Because different permits are different revenue.
Yeah. And I did look, I think that based on what we budgeted for your district, you're like 140% over. I think we budgeted 9 and you're $20,000 worth of revenue for permits. It's a smaller number, but it's more than we projected. Okay. So then I'll just quickly shoot over Steve's head. So as I say, the Culture's Barbecue's up here. This is District F in pink. That's the Target store. You've got West Marine under construction. You've got the daycare center about to open here. The Unser indoor car, which is a 90,000 square foot air conditioned building for go-kart racing. They bought the site, but they haven't permitted, so that may happen up here. Coming down in District G, let me go back to this. So these were 370 lots that are split between F and G, and there are only 70 out of 370 available. And Highland Homes is building out the 20 that they have, and I suspect American Legends between now and probably the end of this calendar year will build all 370 lots. About half of them in F, half of them in G. The Platinum Apartments that you mentioned are here and there. They're in District G. And then Aldi owns a site here. They have it permitted. CubeSmart is about to pull a permit for a 3-story storage. They've been through architectural control approval and some other things. Caliber Collision's about to open. A car repair place is under construction, and there are 3 other pad sites that may permit this year, might permit next year. The Kroger Center, everything's pretty much built out. All the spec space is. McDonald's is open. They have a fairly large pad here that would accommodate in their site plan a large junior anchor and 2 other pads. So I'm optimistic that the retail activity will bleed back over to the Kroger Center here. That's in District G. H is the purple. And the Discovery at the Realm, 422 units. They have 130 of them open and 60 residents. They're soon to open the second building. And phase 2, which would be another 2 or 3 buildings, is in the planning stage. We haven't seen anything. The Realm West, which is a little panhandle site here in District F, is 72 single-family lots and about 6 acres of commercial on Castle Hills Boulevard. And that's just been approved at City Council for the plat in the city of Louisville. So I suspect there'll be some dirt work going on there in this fiscal year. Daniel's Dental Clinic's about to open. Part of that is in
Louisville, not Castle Hills, or?
Louisville agrees to plat. They approved, and so that's been approved,
Oh,
but it's in the district, yeah. Daniel's Dental Clinic is about to open. Part of that is a construction of a deceleration lane on Essex. And then you come over, this is G. The first phase of G, this is Crown Center where office will be. There's some preliminary design of an office building here by a developer, and then we're doing some drainage work that's out to bid now for this drainage that comes through Lennar Homes and through here over to Louisville. Racetrack's open there. 2 of the 4 buildings, the Parker Medical buildings, one of them's up and occupied. The second one's under construction. Again, 3rd and 4th one probably will permit next year if they lease the first 2. 94 villas, for the most part, either under construction, permitted, or occupied. Going down to District C, Charlie. This is 170 lots that are down at Pulsar, House, Holy Grail, yeah, and Parker, or even, yeah, it's just, everything has 2 names, doesn't it? Yeah. And about 1/3 of the lots are either under construction or completed. 177 lots, so that's going well. You see some dirt work over on the Nichols and Dimes Ranch. That's in the city of Carrollton. The district's not involved with that except for just maybe a connection. So we don't have any involvement with that. And that's pretty much it, unless there are any questions.
So that's going to be part of Castle? How does that work?
It will not be part of the district. It will be the city of Carrollton, and the rights of the developer of it, we don't have anything to do with.
Are we supplying water or sewer?
No.
But it's still going to be called Castle Hills, name-wise,
I see.
marketing-wise, I
Yeah,
guess.
I'm sure it will.
But in part on Josie, just north of Parker, is there any, there's some groundwork going on over there? Are there any connections or anything over there that we?
You're talking about over here?
I'm talking about north of Parker,
Deer?
Yeah, right around there, it's there up north.
Well, all this dirt work that you see here is in the city of Louisville, and it's by a developer named Murdod. And that's not in the district, it's not, something that we're involved with.
No connection, not anything at all.
What is interesting is that the city of Louisville will have to patrol that 24/7 and for police and fire. They likewise have to patrol all of the commercial up here on 121. They also have to patrol Aura because it's on 121, and they have to patrol Lennar Homes and all of the school. And so they will have a lot of patrol kind of surrounding us that will be in much closer proximity than before. So it'll be interesting to see if their dispatch times are quicker or their response time.
Now, all that over there to the east of Josie, this is what development?
That's Madon. Yeah.
There's an LISD property over there too.
There's what?
It's an LISD property over there. There's a sign that says.
Yeah, I think they have some property right here. Yeah, and we aren't involved with that. So all this down on both sides is the city of Louisville and the different developers.
Those are, you have to have single family homes?
But yeah, I think it is predominantly single family. I don't know if there's any commercial or not.
It's on both sides of Josie or
Mhm.
on the left side?
Yeah.
It's the same guy. I know him.
Same guy, same developer, yeah.
Do you know how far east the city of Louisville goes on that development?
On their development,
Yeah,
I don't know where, I know
does it go all the way over there? That's still Louisville.
part of Billingsley, which is Austin Ranch, is in Louisville. And so that's somewhere up in here. And then really kind of odd pieces are still in Hebron. So it's kind of a patchwork.
And
I can't-
Carrollton there too. Carrollton. is
Carrollton.
part of Austin Ranch.
Carrollton is there too. Carrollton's on the south, Carrollton's on the south
Or even
west
the
corner.
north.
Yeah.
On the north side.
Yeah.
Who patrols you?
Nobody, they don't have a police force.
For the
They don't charge taxes either, I don't think.
They're just that one parcel of land, it's some strip annexation that goes like down there by Burn. We added the Burn track to Castle Hills, we annexed all that from Hebron,
Oh, is that right?
redid all the strips around there to keep it in the ETJ of Louisville. Fun process. But yeah, there's not much in the Hebron land.
That deep purple, 1G, I think it is. What, is that what that deep purple is? Says?
1H.
1H.
Yeah, that's all.
So what's the ingress to what, go through the new development by that other guy, or is it going to go through Winton Haven and down, or
You're
just wondering
talking-
how you get there from Josie?
It's one of Madon's development over here.
I don't think there's any connection. There's no connection between the gods.
You're looking at that H.
Yeah, right where the point is, it's HMS right there.
Says they-
Yeah, how do people getting out of it once it gets developed out?
As far as I know, they're not coming from Josie, because there's no,
Through Josie up.
there's
They
no,
came down?
there's no, to my knowledge, there's no connection between Wright's Land and Redon.
Is the bridges still a thing?
So what?
The bridges?
Bridges is in design. I haven't heard much about it. I think the focus is maybe doing the second phase of Discovery. It seems to, right now, multifamily's hot. It's gotten some traction. It'll have some or some restaurants. I don't know if it's open to just the resident. But I think this may be predicated on some pre-leasing. But I hadn't even seen, as I explained, that I know the site plan has changed a little bit from originally stacking everything to kind of more of a crescent type site plan, but that's as much as I know.
Any word on when it coming through?
Yeah, it's like I got an update from the city, and it's like about a 2020 completion because of the railroad has to approve, and so they're on their fourth iteration of just the plan with the city. And then once that's approved, then they can start the design of the bridges and, you know, everything kind of doesn't go simultaneously. So it's probably a true connection sometime in 2020. But the water lines, for Upper Trinity and the water lines for the city of Louisville have been relocated and all the right of ways been secured, and Louisville's on their 4th design review with the railroad waiting on approval of the 4th one, and they're optimistic that the 4th one will be accepted. So,
Are you finished with the financial part report? I have a question on, it's on page 27, the Denton 1B consolidated revenue and expense report. Do you know if the budget's been amended since?
No,
it
budget
hasn't?
is not in that.
So I'm gonna have to check and see why, but the numbers that I have are different from this. So on one of the, I think on permits, I have the same number, but on all the other numbers, they're different. So I'm gonna have to see what the story is. Anyway.
Is it significant?
Well, you'll see when I get to my bookkeeping report, I show, for example, I'll just, on the admin, I show the budget at 94,000, and on here it shows it at 187. So whereas I'm showing that you're significantly over budget, if I were to look at this, you're probably not.
That's a big difference.
It is,
Don't-
yeah, it is, so, yeah, so I'm just gonna have to look into it.
And which page are you looking at?
I'm on, page, yeah, you don't have to, it's on
Page 25?
I have this page 27. It's the consolidated revenue and expense report. It starts off with revenue summary and then expenditure summary, and it has administration as the first section.
Yeah.
And it says the current budget for total administration is 187,359. And I have 93,793.
Pockets may be different.
Well,
We consider
it's possible.
things
I
that
don't know.
Maybe Phil's lumping stuff into there that we're not lumping in.
That's possible.
Is there anything that's under by $90,000?
I don't know if the fund transfers have something to do with it. I don't know. So that's possible.
Yeah, I'll get,
Take a look at it.
yeah, I'll have someone else for that. Any other questions?
No questions for Bill? I guess we've seen a motion to approve this report.
Let me ask a question about that. So given that there was a concern brought up that these are potentially different numbers, are we just approving that it was shared with us, or are we approving that these numbers are accurate to the best of our knowledge?
Right, you're giving the report that, you're approving the report that was given. Now, you can approve it with the caveat that Captain Phil will be looking at that discrepancy. Right.
Yeah, that's in my motion.
Right.
Thank you.
All in favor? The minutes will reflect the caveat. Item number 6, the book.
Okay. The bookkeeping report
Thank you, Phil.
starts on PDF page 32. So in your general fund, you have 720, almost 727,000. And then the balances in your revenue, your debt service accounts are shown there. And then on page 33, we transferred last month 350,000 from the debt service fund, from the M&O tax account to the general fund. And the bills that we're paying today, paying Amiot for attending the AWD conference, that's, per diem, $150 a day per diem for 3 days, and then a little bit of mileage. And then for the director's fees for today, legal, reimbursing Patrick for website expenses, which the invoices are attached later in the PDF. And then your insurance, which is up for renewal, and then the AWBD conference fee for Guy and Amy. Then on page 34, your taxes, you collected $2,130.74 in your M&O taxes for May. And then $798 in interest from your Green Bank CD. And then your capital improvements, you have the 2,300 in the checking account, 48,000 in the CD.
What percentage collected are we now? For taxes?
99.36. And if I recall, no, yeah, it's 99.36. No, you know what? You're higher. That's as of May, when I finished this report last Thursday, and all I had at that time was the May report, but let me flip to the tax collections. Tax collections shows you 99.92%. So that's as of June. Okay, so back to the bookkeeping report. Page 35 is your debt service funds for debt services. Debt service fund, you collected $4,859.71 in property taxes. That's all the activity in those funds. And then on page 36, like I said, this is as of May, you were 99.36% collected, but you're just a little bit, 0.5% higher as of end of June. And then page 37, good news, this is the first month since I've been doing the accounting that I've had fairly current data on this operations report. So I have everything through May. Or I don't have accounts receivable aging. That was the only thing I didn't have. But anyway, so your operations report, your water consumption is normal for this time of year. I look back at previous months. In the summer, it will kick up a little bit for a lot of it, but it's normal for this time. So, anyways, that's my only comment there. And then PDF page 39 is your budget versus actual. Your income is 3% over budget, so pretty much right on budget. So that's good. Page 40 on your expenses. If you look at the top line for administration, that was where I was commenting that I'm showing only 93,000 budgeted. So I don't know if you're really over 57%. I don't know if for whatever reason I just don't have a good budget number in there. It would have been entered, 6 months ago. So I will let you all know when I find out. So I'm not sure how meaningful this budget versus actual. At the bottom of page 40, I show your net income is only 104,000 as opposed to 163 budgeted. I just don't know how accurate that is. So again, I will report back to you. And then the next 2 pages are your 13 monthly revenues and expenses. That's all I have on the budget.
So is the budget issue a total of like 94,000 difference, or is that just one line item?
That's just one line item.
Do you know what
Several of them were different.
So you'll look into that?
Yes. And I will try to look into it tomorrow. If not, I'm going to be out on Friday, and it might be Monday, but I will get back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time the budgets have changed partway through the year. But I mean, 90,000 is pretty significant.
Oh, yeah.
Single line item.
Exactly.
And do you think we're okay for the rest of the year in terms of revenue?
So even let's just say that maybe my budget is right. You still have 5.5 months worth of reserves, so that's still a pretty good reserve. So yes, I would say that you're right.
I guess we should ask Phil about annual planning process. Time of year we should put next year's budget together.
Yeah, I think, Lisa told me that they will usually maybe send that, I think they maybe approved their budget in July, I could be wrong, I wanna say that she said,
That's what they
Does that
said,
sound
one
right?
meeting that we attended last week.
So they said they'll have their budget in
Yeah,
the end of this
we
month.
asked-
we had the same question.
And then you'd have a budget, then you'd have 30 days to ask questions. And then, I don't know how yours is, you can't approve it, you can review it, but you can't approve it, which CPA land, that's pretty foreign to me. You can't approve your own budget. Anyway.
You have a sympathetic
uh,
So budget developed in July, approval cycle in August, and then set the taxes.
Yeah,
It's close to that. Oh, money.
So I'm assuming that it sounds like tax rolls are going up significantly. My property tax was up significantly. So maybe an opportunity to drop the rate a little bit.
no, but that's the right issue.
Need a motion to approve it.
Control.
We don't have a motion yet on the bookkeeping report.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, I guess, the item A, I believe we did not have, or do we have an agreement regarding the website, or was that just our, invoices that,
the invoices were on the bookkeeping report,
Right.
and they're on page 44 of the PDF, but, I think, I don't know if you wanna do tax collections, which one's
Right.
next?
tax collections, that's item 8. Revised budget, I believe we were not revising the budget at this time.
Correct. So, yeah, we can just take that off the agenda.
Okay. We'll get that revised. Item 8, I believe the tax report was presented in the bookkeeping report. We just need a motion to approve that report.
Motion. Second.
It's on page 43 if you want to look at it.
All those in favor? Right. Discuss in first order 1B website, and consider approval of website updates and content.
So should I talk about the receipts that I submitted at this point?
We can go over them. I believe they were approved with the bookkeeper's report. This is for the, is this the renewal of the hosting and the domain name? Right.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, go over that now, or?
Oh, yes, you can. Go ahead.
So the domain, you have to refresh that I think I do a 1-year increments, so there's a, carve out auto charge for that. I thought I moved it to one of Lisa's cards, but I guess I hadn't. Probably give it to you to move that over at some point. And then, there's, we bought an extra 10 gig of space for storing all the documents. We have a fairly deep, collection of documents, pictures, things like that on our website. So there's more money associated with that. I think overall was in the $400 range, something like that.
The total three something.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it's important. We get it ebbs and flows. So sometimes we get tons and tons of people out there, unless it's dormant for a while, and then we get something like police reports out there, and we get a big hit again. We have about 25 people or so that are subscribed. So anytime something gets published on the website, be it a meeting agenda, be it a police report, be it anything else, they get an email that says, hey, something's just updated. So you updates that go on out there. We have around 25 or 30 known Twitter followers. But there's fast follow also you just can't track. So there's people just to follow 40404. You can't really track those. There's not a mechanism for that. I can give you stats on. What's it here? Just a second. I was loading up. Finally got Mish's blurb and photo up and going. That if you get some years at anytime.
I haven't been ignoring you.
I talked with Sherry. And Sherry
I
actually said
have
to try to get
so many
something.
pictures of myself on this freaking phone. And I look at it, I'm like, oh, I can't send that picture. And you know, I'll be dressed up for a wedding. And it's like my head will be like shining. And I'm like,
It took me 3 years to do his, so probably no rush in here. You sent an email account.
well, thank you. And I haven't been ignoring you. I was like, gotta get that done. I'll be in a suit later this week, so I'll take another one.
We have
Hopefully it'll come out better than all the rest. I mean, I was in the tux and one, and I'm
we
like,
had a mutual friend. And I guess they went to a wedding together.
Yeah.
She said, Doug tried several times. The picture, they just wasn't having
bad,
that.
bad. I got him if you want to see him. They're on.
So we had a nice little spike around the end of June. Of hits to our website, so up in the 500 range. A lot of hits on the board meeting that just happened. I don't know if anybody joined us on. I didn't get any text messages. I get 1 or 2 text messages from the live text of people who are watching, so I haven't gotten any. I don't know if somebody's watching or if it's something you said. Let's see. Most of the referrals come in from, looks like from Facebook, a few from Twitter. You can't really look at search terms anymore because Google has encrypted most of that traffic, so you can't really tell search terms that are bringing in. Anyway, I think for what it is, I think our website's really strong and it helps us present a good picture. Refer lots of people out to it for finding districts. We have instructions on how to find your district with CAD. And then do that probably once or twice a month, I guess, when people get their 1A. You have to go and help them out and say, well, this is how you do that. So anyway, I think it represents us well, and I would encourage us to keep on this website.
Let me ask you a question regarding the website. So I usually send you all the notes to put on the website. I put the notes together this afternoon. In there, I comment that you're over budget in some areas. Do you want to wait? Do you want me to wait until I'm able to check on that before you publish those?
So that's a really good question. So this is, we want accurate information as soon as possible, but I think that's the key is we want accurate information. We don't want to put in inaccurate information when it goes inaccurate. And then have to go back and explain, well, that wasn't really the stuff. This was really what the stuff is. So my preference in helping a lot with this stuff is that we wait till we at least can explain what those differences are before we post that stuff out.
Okay.
Yeah, is that okay with everybody else?
Yes.
So let me ask the discretion of the board. There's some people who wonder what we have today, knowing that there's a problem with that. You guys don't want a copy of that. You want to wait to get the most recent stuff out, most recent accurate stuff out.
I think most of us are like you, whether you're a company or whatever. You want it accurate, and if it takes a little time to get it accurate.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what you want.
I'm much more interested in the process that she finds the differences and how you account for the differences than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key. It's probably, it's a big number and I agree with it.
The expenses are from an auditor standpoint, expenses are kind of one of the first things you go look at.
Yeah.
And then when you say administrative, and if you come up with, looking at that, finding the answer, if it's management consulting or something that's nebulous, so then you just keep drilling down. As an auditor, that question is probably the biggest thing that would stick out to somebody like me, is you hope to find a satisfactory answer and you explain it.
I mean, if they weren't in the room, we wouldn't have heard that.
What's that?
If she wasn't here today.
Right.
If she wasn't here representing you, we would not hear that. So this, to me, that process is so valuable.
And it may be on our side.
And it could be,
But
and that's okay.
it's worth looking at. Absolutely. There is one more thing I'd like to change if we're going to make a change, is that I noticed that the house that you guys sell on the second page there that shows how much patrol went by, that's not my house. That's just some random house I picked. I prefer to put my own house in there. I don't want whoever lives at 1040, whatever that is, to come back and yell at me for using their house as an example.
Something about Ladybug.
Yeah, that's not my house. So let me give you the report that I'd like to have in it with my own address. If we can fix that before we upload it, that'd be helpful. I think I don't want to make anybody mad. You know what I'm saying?
But your point was it's representative of what data you can pull.
Exactly. In order to just have my address in there instead of 1040. I don't
We
know
don't
who
have
that
the
is.
permission of those people.
Technically, I don't really need it, but I don't need to make anybody else mad at me. So that's I'll put my own address in
So
there.
I'll just hold off on the report and the
we're gonna redo that entire PDF packet?
Not sure.
That's it, okay.
Oh, I don't usually send you the whole PDF packet. I usually just send you the PDF.
Okay. Let me see if I can just edit that out. Put my address in instead of 21040.
You know, your address includes your neighbors on either side and across the street.
Let me see if I can fix it for you. And I don't want to make a big deal on nothing, but, you know, sometimes people look for reasons to be upset. I don't want anybody reason to be upset. Okay. All right.
We approve those invoices under the bookkeeper's report, so no additional action to take under that the website report. First thing that I have for you guys this evening of the renewal of your insurance. If you turn to page 14 of that proposal, I'm not sure what page it is on the website. I mean on the PDF.
2.
Right, that will be your summary, your premium summary. Couple of things to talk about here. First of all, the total premium quoted is identical to last year's premium, so no increases. Would recommend, however, that with the new peace officer patrols, that we add the law enforcement liability premium as well as the peace officer bond for those peace officers that are under contract. And we can have that change made through your insurance carrier. But that would be our recommendation.
What is the cost of that?
The law enforcement liability premium is additional $1,000, and then the peace officer's bonds is $50 for each peace officer.
Are we, now, does that, I guess the question is, where does that money come from? Is that a check out of 1A, or is that a check out of 1B that pays for that?
So 1A does nothing with coordinated payments, so they
Pull
get
it out of each one?
Yeah.
So does 1A have an insurance policy on that?
So I don't know, but if you look at the budget numbers that were given to us, the line contract insurance is actually in there. Yeah, so I'm assuming that they put on that.
Okay, so what are you saying? We don't need to buy them?
No, I'm saying that when they use us their own devices, do whatever, but they said that when you look at the overall cost of this stuff, extra insurance is there.
Right, it never hurts to be covered. It's an extra $1,000 plus $50 on each officer, right?
We're gonna have 70 officers.
Yeah, it's a lot of officers.
Well, because they're all
Right.
very part-time.
So
Right,
does that mean that
right.
each district that's participating will go buy their own insurance and everyone's buying insurance?
See, that's what I think there's probably got to be one policy that covers.
We contract with each district.
I mean, can you send that to us and ask what kind of insurance?
Right, we can ask them, and we can also speak with your insurance company and see what they would recommend.
And I'm sure Blue Line has their own policy as well.
Right, they will, and they also indemnify you in their agreements, and the individual officers do as well.
Well, there's a certain amount of Kansas City Hall on top of that.
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So I don't want to leave us hanging out there uncovered. On the other hand, I don't want us, the districts overall, to spend 8 times as much as we can absorb to.
And your effective date for your insurance is August 25th. So we have some time to make those inquiries and make some changes. If we want to approve it subject to determining the, and of course, you can even have this on your August agenda.
What is that though? So what is the scope of that insurance? So it's just going to be, does this mean that it's just 1B district? So if they patrol outside of 1B, then we're not covered. I'm just wondering, what I'm wondering is, going back to if there's 7 officers and $50 per.
Right.
It would seem like it's going to be $50 per officer for the 70, whether it's 1B or it's all of Castle Hills.
Right.
So, yeah, so we may want to work together to get a board.
Right.
You know, you either coordinate this or we'll get a board support.
Or maybe Phil
Right.
already has it covered.
Yeah.
So.
Because most of the time in this type of situation, you're dealing with a single board who's contracted with 2 or 3, maybe 4 officers, and that's where this is a little bit different. It's a joint, it's an interlocal agreement with several districts.
Yeah. So I know interlocal runs a bell because you just had it. You guys were looking at the last one meeting.
Yeah, that was for, that was payment, I think that was for the vote for the election.
Okay.
It's just that they couldn't produce it for me when I asked them. Okay, I don't know what we're talking about, show me, and they couldn't show me.
That's a really good question because I mean, 1A does, we've seen they split us up from everything else because we've asked to be treated as a separate entity and give us what we want. So
And on our insurance coverage, I just looked over the plan. Doesn't seem like it's a very, I mean, you're right, they probably have a plan for all districts. You know, our district does not need a lot of this that we have in this plan, so I'm wondering.
Which pieces you guys?
I'm looking on page 53. So we got real and personal property coverage based on replacement cost valuation, contractor's equipment based on actual cost value, machine and boiler coverage, sewer backup coverage. That's if we had a building or some kind of structure, and we don't really. So I was just kind of noticing just different things like that. I don't know if it's a big deal or anything, but I think that if you took out some of those things, you wouldn't have to pay as much for insurance.
Well, many of those are included in the general liability policy. And it's something that Westendorf includes in that policy. I'm not sure if they would strike any of those particular coverages out or not. We'd have to discuss that with them.
Or if they did, it would be the same price regardless. It's,
Right.
It's what you get when you buy that. So
How much is
it's the fries you get with it when you buy
Yeah.
that. Like I said.
It's like
It's
a full meal deal.
9,818,
means that there was no increase from last year.
no increase from last year, correct?
Coverages are the same.
Right.
You're gonna look into Phil and say, what are we doing for liability insurance for officers?
Right.
What are the other districts doing? We should be working as a unit. Whether one A coordinates that or not, we should be working as a unit. Across all districts.
Whatever your recommendation is to add those, so. Because I don't think anybody was looking at this, so you are recommending to add these things to our full coverage, so say these are the things that you want to add. And distribute it amongst all the.
Hey, Patrick, it might be on the side, but how's insurance covered on that car?
Like auto insurance.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. This is, I know that we got the quote from Blue Line. It's our car. The district
Well,
pays
that's
for
right,
that.
I'm thinking it's our car.
And we look at the contract with Blue Line. It states that we're responsible for it, and it states that it's going to be a cost that are allocated out to the districts.
So maybe
And insurance
one
is
A,
included in that, so.
including one insurance and then.
Yeah, but it does make sense to just double check and make sure that's actually being followed through on.
Right.
I'm sure it is covered by
I'm sure.
1A because they cover all their equipment.
Yeah, and it would be in the same,
Oh, it's a 1A car,
You know,
they're treating
yeah.
it just like any
Yeah,
other
like a-
vehicle, so it
a
would be
bulldozer
like
or
that.
a
I think
truck,
that's
it's
the,
just
I think that's the answer.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sorry about this.
No, I think that's a good question. I think you're right, though.
So the car is parked here,
The car, that's a great question. So the car doesn't park here. So when it's not rolling, which eventually it'll roll 99% of the time, it's not rolling, it's parked over by the water tower behind the gates. And that's on purpose. You don't want to see a car parked out in the parking lot so people know the cops are patrolling out. So it's parked behind the gates when it's not in use. So I did, one of the things I did with mention, one of the things was when the officers came across a security patrol asleep in their car. So, that without naming any names, but that was interesting.
did you wake them up?
Iron Dog?
I'm gonna say.
Oh. I won't say.
Maybe they're just taking a little break. Yeah.
but in Checo's opposite of what Louisville was talking about parking car. They're there as a deterrent, and now we don't want to park it there because we don't,
So, yeah, so there's one thing to park the car, and I've actually the car parked like over here at this intersection. We have a lot of people like stop signs and stuff like that. That's the active deterrent. But if people see that it parks out in front of Castle Hill Spirits whenever it's not in use, you just gotta drive by there, see all the cars there, it must not be anybody patrolling. So it's a difference between, parking on a street that's a high traffic area, they try to dampen speed.
And there's
versus
multiple
parking,
Louisville cars when they do that.
Versus parking in a
Versus
parking lot.
one car.
Anyone who doesn't look at the internet or doesn't know that that's our car, thinks that that's a police car.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I say, the police right there. I said, oh, yeah, you're right. I don't tell them the difference. Yeah, that's a police car. Right.
Yeah, because I know
Exactly.
if there is a thief, I don't think they know all these details.
No, they
It's
don't.
parked
Not
here,
at all.
One of the things that did come up again was the concept of speeding tickets, and reiterated that they are going speeding tickets. There's just a lot of sticky stuff with doing that. But if somebody's recklessly endangering lives, that's a whole different offense. That's not speeding. So if you're doing 70 in a school zone, then they can light you up and pull you over because that's not speeding anymore. This is reckless endangerment. This is a public safety issue, and the officers have a lot of leeway in that. So they're not going to say if it's 5 miles an hour for this or 20, they just send some officers to use the rest of it. Well, apparently they give them water and potatoes. So they're probably looking.
Yeah, they're looking for them, yeah.
Absolutely.
So on that subject, Louisville police were in here on Monday night, as I was walking down the fireworks, and then pulled over a Jeep with the kid riding on the top of the Jeep. Well, the roof on it and actually sitting on the top. They were very heavy. Like, I don't know
I
what
mean, you have to be fastened in the vehicle when you're driving, otherwise you can get a ticket for $100. These kids on the golf carts are just hanging off these things and they're on public streets. It's like,
I mean, people, what was this real quick? Why can't we, I know 2 years ago when this over and over, and at the end we were helpless in doing anything.
So it's not anything. It follows the same rules and regulations. So somebody, officers standing here with an open container who's underage drinking, pull the cart over because now it's no longer a golf cart issue. It's underage drinking issue. You see kids that are hanging on the roof and somebody hanging off the back of the skateboard, pull them over because now this is a safety issue. But and I see actually a lot of kids actually doing a pretty good job driving cars in the neighborhood. I actually saw one using that appropriate hand signal. I couldn't remember which is what, but they were signaling that they were going to turn. I see some responsible kids out there. If the question is, why are golf carts allowed here but not allowed like in Carrollton and things like that, there's a very specific statute in the Texas in the district code, the Texas Constitution, that talks about golf carts and golf course communities. And depending on how you read that, you can either use a golf cart just to get back and forth to the golf course, or you can use it anywhere in the community. And it really depends on how you read that statute. So
And you don't have to have a license, and there's no age limit. You could be 2 years old.
No age limit. We went through. I could point out to you the specific statute that's in there, but it reads very poorly. And if you interpret it very liberally or very conservatively, it's open to interpretation. And 1A is taking a stance, and by nature of that, everybody else is just falling in line with that. Okay, we're just going to follow that lead. He's taking the stance that they're perfectly legal here in Castle Hills.
It's just 6 and 5-year-old driving those cars.
Well, some of these carts aren't really carts anymore than neighborhood electric vehicles, which it does call out a difference between NEVs and golf carts. And some of these golf carts are so souped up, they're Hondas now. They're not golf carts anymore. These things are little drag racers, but maybe not that bad. But at any rate, the line is just so blurry, and we've just chosen to interpret it in a very liberal fashion. I do think overwhelmingly people, if you look at next door on polls and the banter on there, more people want them than not. And say, well, let me parent my own kid. It's not any different than a motorized scooter or anything else. I'm not in this debate. I have plenty of other debates to get into. Just let that one by. So I encourage you to take up that debate. Take that under advice.
We can do is we can go ahead and defer the insurance renewal and put that on your August agenda. And if you'd like, we could also ask Dan McDonald with Westbrook to be here if you want to speak about the company or anything like that. He can go over policy with you. Because that's going to be interesting. Okay.
Is he local?
He's in the Sugar Land area, Houston area.
We could just conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can call him.
Right. I don't want to pay for the privilege.
No, I don't think you,
Fine,
yeah.
so-
No, of course not.
Or we can get confident in it, that'd be fine.
Well, part of the question is, so what we have, is it complementing 1As or is it, because some of the things that Doug brought up, that's a good point. We don't have those things. So, and the question is, does 1A have that? So I don't know who's their provider. On them as to what they have or don't have with coverage.
Yeah, there are definitely things that we pay into 1A to provide for us as our just operator, so that might already be covered. Right. That'd be some of it. Okay.
I believe that Patrick had a couple of other things you wanted to discuss there was a policy relating to transparency
Yeah,
on the agenda.
so that was, yeah, so what had come up was, those are the big expense. And we made efforts to be transparent by posting to Nextdoor and Facebook and webcasting meetings and things like that. But I think there was a point made, I think it's valid, that says, for an expense that big, you guys should have gone above and beyond.
So you're talking about security, additional patrol.
Right, $4,000 spend for the neighborhoods, $60,000, $80,000 just for our district. And one of the suggestions that came up, I'm just throwing this out to get reaction from the board, was, any expense to the district that's more than X number of dollars, you set that to be 25,000, 100,000, 50,000, whatever you want it to be. Maybe that needs to mail or postcard to the district that says, I'm not gonna ask you to vote, I'm not gonna ask you to go to Survey Monkey or anything like that. We're going to consider this at the next meeting. This is the spend. If you guys are interested in that, come to the meeting. Anyway, that was one of the suggestions we had out there, is that if you're gonna spend $80,000,
Well, we posted it in the meeting, so if they wanted public comment, they could have come at the beginning of the meeting for that comment. So I don't think it's.
Okay.
I mean, if you put a postcard out, you're gonna spend,
No, so more money.
more money
$1,200
to, to figure out what.
And somebody's gonna say, why spend?
Why are you spending $1,200 to figure out what we want?
and there were some people that actually that had that same opinion. So, I think that the argument back is, even if it's $1,000 to put the postcards out there, that's still 2% of the overall spend. Should be doing that or not. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't really have a strong feeling either way. I just things we're talking about, come up with suggestions. So, discuss.
I don't think it's a very good idea. Pretty much everything we've done, we already post all of our meetings. Post them on paper, the old-fashioned way, but you also post them on Nextdoor. So it's out there for people that want to come. There's a reason we have meetings, there's a reason we go through public stuff. That's where the decisions are made and actually.
Right?
Well, and the other thing is, so this was a spending, what is it, 60,000, whatever it was. It wasn't just one day we decided, let's go spend 60,000. This was being discussed for 2 years. People coming complaining, security, do something, and then we do something, now we have to,
Explain why we did something.
yeah,
So the security was really the catalyst for that conversation. That aside, I guess the question of the board is, do we need or should we have a policy that says any spend over X amount, we notify via postcards and mailer? And that's a question I think that I wanted to raise.
But my caveat to that would be if something that we initiated ourselves. So one day we come in here and say, there is a big thing under this parking lot and no one knows about it, and I spend, $150,000 to fix it, and no one in the committee is even talking about it. Then we should do something, because this just came out of nowhere. But if it's something that the community is constantly saying, do something, and we do, then it shouldn't be that much. But something that we come up with and they have no idea, then yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, we're fixing to approve a budget. And that budget will be more, we're gonna spend more than $100,000
Yeah, absolutely.
in that budget, so.
Going out to all the same forms of everything else.
So you would have to say, well, do we want to
But again,
publicize
that's
the
something
budget
you
for
know.
everyone to look at to say, hey, this budget, I don't agree with this budget. Well,
So let me go give another example here. And this is just me trying to foster the conversation. There's been some discussion about the at your door service for hazardous waste. And we do this a couple of different ways. One of the ways is $1 per month tacked onto everybody's utility bill. So that's $650 a month. That's 6,000, 7,000 plus per year. I think through the next door and polls and things like that, I think we've got a pretty good pulse on what people feel about that. But is that enough? That's the question I want to pose. So if we had something like this, where it's come up and talked about next door, there's a poll next door that was for all the cast members.
I think it probably goes back to our charter and what you guys are trying to do and what we're trying to do as a whole is spend less money, bring property tax down, but also, level service, community is,
Transparency and all that stuff there.
is very high, but so, it kind of comes back to that, and your, mission statement and your, what we're looking to do as a board.
So do we, what I'm hearing is, we feel like the notifications that we do today is sufficient. There's plenty of ways to plug in through Twitter, website, Facebook, next door. We know the meeting.
We could delay a decision until it was published over a month. You know, make sure people gauge that, or may have.
Don't we let it run though? Don't we have to have it on the agenda?
It has to be,
Consider it?
right.
So
It
it's
has to be on
already
the agenda.
so I mean,
Right.
we just be delaying, 60 days.
And expenditure, if it's a budgeted expenditure, when you approve the budget, that's on the agenda as well. And all of the, or if you amend your budget, all of these things that you would approve would be agenda items that the public would have access to and would be notified of through the posting of the agenda through the various methods that it's posted.
Yeah, and then the other part is very important to distinguish between a new initiative versus something that we are already, there's nothing we can do about whatever is already baked in, we cannot. But if you do new initiative, yes, and if the new initiative is being driven by the community, then, why do we have to do extra? But if something, a new initiative that comes up that board says, okay, wouldn't it be a good idea to do this, and no one else is talking about it, then definitely, I would agree spending money on that, having people.
So this is an agree or disagree, I'm just putting it out there for discussion.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just trying to fence here.
Here's some other thoughts, Patrick, like, if people want more affordable things. They don't wanna pay so much for trash service, they wanna pay less for water, they wanna pay, so you start looking at those things, well, we're fixing to renew our trash service with waste management. You could put something out like, do you want once a week trash pickup instead of twice a week? One would be trash pickup and then one would be recycling at 2 different times, and that would save you X dollars. I'm just throwing things out there that it would be savings wise, but you'd have to do something like you're saying to be able to notify everyone in the district, hey, what do y'all want us to negotiate with waste
Well,
management?
that's a great example right there, and then the question comes back to, do we need a policy about that that says if it meets these parameters, we do a mailer, if it doesn't, then they should be playing. I don't have real strong feelings either way. I've always thought that we've done a pretty good job communicating. But, sometimes you don't make no blind spots, so I just want to bring it up for discussion, so.
I think you put it on the header on the webpage. If you don't agree with anything, please comment.
I say please contact guys.
Yes.
So
Here's
I
my cell
definitely don't think we should be asking the kind of questions about, do you want once a week or twice a week? I think we're elected to make those kind of decisions. And
I was bringing that up because you brought the
So
dollar or more.
yeah, so I don't think that kind of approach is very workable. If we think about what's underneath this request, it's really, we need to be communicating better. If it was up to me, I think we should probably be doing some kind of newsletter or outreach. Maybe rather than doing
That's a good idea.
when there's a problem or when there's a budget increase, we send something, maybe we should be trying to do that.
So that's a puts out a newsletter, and we can actually buy space on that newsletter if we wanted to. Or we could put out our own.
We can do our own.
Yeah, we have the addresses for the people in there. but-
I think the challenge with that is who puts the content together, having the discipline to go through that.
But I like that better than going back and saying, as these things come up, we're going to, spot notify. We just said once a quarter, here's what's going on in the district, if you have a meeting, here's an overall view, here's the things that are coming that you may want to be aware of. I mean, these are typically the first Wednesday of each month, love to see everyone. I like that one, I think that's a much better idea. I think that's
I
better
think
than
in
funds too.
particular, we don't have a whole lot of new things, but this security thing has been going on for the last 2 years. We've been doing that. So we have made decisions. We have made some decisions. The boards know what they are doing, but the people, I don't think they quite know. And they still don't know. We have the three, we have Louisville, we have, we have the new police, and then we have, the HOA with, Ireland. So the three people are confused about that. So I think if we do, if nothing else, we're not do every 3 months, but do something to where we bring this up and saying, this is why we spending the extra money on this. Iron God's goal is this, and his goal is this. And then we paid. If we could do that, maybe that would really help because.
Or if you put out 1 or 2 postcards and
site.
There are different places where you have information.
We have information.
This is what we do each quarter,
Yeah.
more county information, we're on Facebook groups. And we're on-
Pretty soon, everyone will know about it.
And I
We
think
wouldn't
that-
have to put out a mailer or anything like that.
But I think it's good to point, it's just something to summarize last 2 years, this is why we made this decision, because that's what people are still confused about. You know,
Well, so I actually, I think that's pretty much cleared up now. I mean, I really, there's been just lots of good support on that. It was more of the overall process. So even the people who like the police in the neighborhood, the concern was this hit the blind side because somehow I wasn't plugged into it. And here we are, thinking we're doing all kinds of great stuff and over communicating everything, but the message still didn't receive. So, our choice is either go too bad, we communicated, or go back and acknowledge the concern and say, okay, I hear what you're saying, maybe we can improve somewhere, we just want to be aware of that blind spot. I like the idea of a newsletter. You look like you're dying to say something. Do you want to?
It's not my meeting.
No, but you
You know,
that's
Well,
why
you know me, I cause most of that trouble as far as.
I wasn't going to point to you directly.
That's right, I'll put myself out there. I mean, I saw some posts back in January about potential for a class Castle Hills Police Force. And then 4 or 5 months later, hey, we just spent $400,000 to acquire ourselves a police force. And so I was a little shocked. I did everything in between. I'm on Nextdoor, I'm on Facebook. And I brought up the topic of transparency. There were other people who did too, but I brought it up. And I understand that you guys are elected to govern and make decisions and so on. But if you kind of look at the perspective and take a $400,000 investment for a community of 14,000 or whatever we have here, 14,000 homes.
Yeah, it's about pretty
Right. And you put that on a national scale as, how many hundreds of millions or billions of dollars did the government just write a check for without, any disclosure to the country? And people are going to complain, people are going to question it. And
And I was afraid of that 2 months ago when we went with this. I said, people are going to say, we know as boards, we know because we tried Lewis before Wald and we tried Ironwood for Wald and all that. But aside and that has tried. But really something that on 2 pages says, folks, for the last 2 years we did A, B, C, D, and we're at this point because of that.
that's kind of all I was asking for. And you brought up a couple of ideas here about, you can't send out mailers. Someone else brought up on the Nextdoor brought up the idea of the mailer of a large investment made. The idea of somehow communicating to the entire neighborhood that they need to come to this website, to the 1B or 1E or whatever website periodically to check and see what's going on. I think that's great. What I was biting my tongue to say with though was there's already mailers coming out, I don't know, at least once a month, if not more often, from the Castle Hills community. Why not tag on, piggyback on their mailer and add a little something at the, at the end of that related to the local government.
That is paying the developer.
Yeah, and then there's so I'm not having a problem with using that as a medium. It's more how willing is he to use that newsletter for district?
Okay, I didn't realize, so that's a bright newsletter,
Yeah.
okay. Wow.
But that being said, this is so certainly. Then this is where having 7 different districts is difficult because, technically speaking, we can't put a letter out to the whole neighborhood and stuff because we only spend money for our residents, which is 1 meeting. But if we got the other boards together and said, as all the boards, we're going to co-author a letter, and it can be one person, one just rubber stamps or whatever, since it's good enough for us. I think we could use the postal system here to do this really cheap. It's like $300. I mean, it's really cheap to do that.
I would do one mailing out to everybody and do an email subscription.
It's certainly my sense
Goes
that,
out once a month or once a quarter.
Yeah.
Everybody can subscribe.
And you have the task, the task force that you're part of. I think that's a good medium for doing that because you kind of have representatives from all the boards to do something like that. Yeah.
I've certainly wanted to try to get communication going across board levels, but one of the big things that I saw knocking on doors was communication, and part of it's just I don't know what district I'm in, basic stuff, and then there are people who are asking about security and all those things, and I think what came to my mind was exactly what Guy brought up. We do some kind, is it reasonable to send out mailers at our cost on some basis? But I think it would be even more powerful to just send out a joint one. Sure, we'll all have our own little section of it if we so submit it, I guess. And then it's much easier to get it out because we're not, only these 200,000. And that gives us a forum to cross communicate.
Yeah.
We don't have, I try to come to your meetings. I brought some time on. But that doesn't happen a lot. We're not communicating across the board yet. Maybe that gives us a forum to do it, and it's certainly needed. My sensing from talking to people was we need to hear from you. Not so much you're always going to have, on a decision like this, you're always going to have the few people that absolutely will never agree with it, and the few people who absolutely think it's the best thing ever. And then the great majority will never say anything. So you're never going to please everyone, but at least lay out the steps on how you got to that decision.
That's kind of been.
And the vast majority will go, makes sense.
That's kind of been, at least my philosophy.
But you're always going to have
Well, exactly.
5% that hate it and 5% that think it's the best thing ever.
I just want to be able to, at the end of the day, go to bed and say, I did everything I could possibly do to get people involved. I can leave that horse to water, but if they're not going to drink the water, I can't help you now.
And not everybody's on Facebook, and not everybody's on Nextdoor.
So if there's opportunity for improvement, then let's
So
improve.
to me, you hit as many as you can, it makes sense. Like an email or put down a mailer.
So trying to coordinate anything through the districts is exceedingly difficult for us, because you have districts at 1D, 1E, and 1B that are all residents. Then you have districts at 1C, with no residents on that. 1F is 2 residents on it, there's 2 residents, there's 3 that aren't.
One
But
C
they're
is
all
gonna,
participating.
one C is gonna add some residents down here.
But which is because they have residents
not on the
in the
board.
neighborhood, doesn't mean they're on the board.
Right.
So this would be the type of thing that you have to get the board approval to do and say, okay, it's gonna cost, $40 for each district to put together a little blurb and get it mailed out. I think 1D, 1B, and 1E, all over it. Even 1F maybe, because I think those guys up there, they have some sway.
And these do,
But what the council's postal group won't do is they won't deliver by district. It either goes to everybody or to nobody.
maybe,
I mean, that would
you
be
just
one
suck up
good
one
thing
C it
to
right
talk
now.
about is how that decision came out in a postcard on your police officer. That is cross-district, crossed everything. But the bad thing is, the other people in the other districts don't have a place to go, like a 1B website. They don't have
We'd love to help you with that.
It's
It's all set up for you. Just gotta try to do it.
working.
All right.
Could a task force like this be given a mandate to where they can work across the boundaries, or how does that work?
As long as it's not a forum within it, then you're free to do whatever you want to do.
You can put together a committee between the districts, but they would all have to come back to their districts to approve something.
So
I can
put in
tell
a
you,
newsletter, sending a newsletter.
We're spending,
I can tell you, even the police task force, that one, 5 districts showed up, there were 2 that didn't show up. There were several emails that went back and forth after that were fairly important. Nobody weighed in on. Randall weighed in, I think,
He's
today.
on
About something. I said, okay, unless I hear otherwise, this is what I'm gonna do. But I had the approach of, I need to hear from 4 people before I do this, and like just crickets. All right, I gotta go the other direction, say, I'm gonna do this unless 4 people tell me not to. So it just is really, really hard to get to corral those cats. 1B can put together a newsletter easily, get out to the 1B residents. But I'd much prefer to at least have the major resident districts working together. So at least 1B, 1B.
even if it's our 2 districts, I'm more than happy to get it I can get it to doors, but I have to want the door to get it.
Let me ask you this. Already money is being spent across all the boards and policing, okay? I mean, I don't know how exact that budget is, everything like 300, but then part of that's going to be used for communication. I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah, they already voted for it, and they all voted affirmative for it, so
So I don't know
that
why.
probably, they probably pay for a postcard too, wouldn't they?
Well, I did have a question.
That's
You
one-
talked about $500 additional, you said go to pay, and the question that popped in my head was, although it's minuscule, how is that being allocated?
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna allocate it the same way he did the budget, it's gonna be based on homes, I guess.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
It was just,
I mean, this idea is not so much about solving the big communication on every subject from sewer to, to every taxes and everything. This is just more for the security that everybody's interested in, that's all.
No, actually, the way I'm seeing this, the opposite, this is.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah.
is a test. This is like a technical, you're putting out a test,
Yeah.
right?
it's all, it's bigger than this.
The police are what brought it to a head, but overall, this is, I've been living under this.
But we need to make sure our guys know what this is. How many people have you knocked on the door, and they all think they're living in one.
Well, I mean, we could use this because the money is already allocated for that, use that as a communication and then maybe something.
I don't think
I don't know,
funding is gonna be the issue anyhow. The bigger issue is who's gonna write the content. And then which other boards can we pull in to participate? But writing the content.
Well, then how do you improve across 3 or more boards? Nobody will want to write it, but everybody will sure want to complain about it when it doesn't say what they want to say. So I'm happy to take a stab at writing the content. I'll do it together and at least present to 1D and 1E. I guess 1F as well, because like I said, there's 2 or 5 up there that are on the board. I can't imagine that people aren't on the board will say, we don't want to do this. So I think we won't be able to distribute through the HOA postal system. It'll have to be 3 cents a postcard or whatever cost to send those out.
So would the timing for that be right to try and aim it around kind of budget time?
I think so. That's probably the next big deal.
And then there's public hearings to announce, right? Yeah, we can't get.
I mean, it's a one-page flyer, right? Because there's a little bit of history to explain, this is what we do.
So you then write it as a sort of general across all districts and then try and get the other districts to buy it.
I think so. And you can have a little line that says, here's how you find what district you're in. Here's generally when these districts meet. Here's a website you go to make sure that you meet at that time.
There's some current big issues that are being discussed.
Kind of work, and then for the next one.
We can direct them over to the 1D site with the 6 awesome articles that were written about how we're governing this thing. It's a great place to start, I think. And give us Steve's phone number if you have questions.
Send everybody at the beginning, because that's where I went.
We take a stab at that.
Okay, awesome. All right, let me know if you help me put them together and try to take it to the village for the next round of meetings.
So
Are you guys-
you'll use the police meeting as you kind of get it.
Socialize it, yeah, that will be next. Not next Tuesday, it's 3 Tuesdays from now, something like that. Actually, I was going to speak with them. So you'll use it to socialize out here, okay?
What?
It's the last Tuesday of the month.
This month.
That was a long one. So I think what we're leaving with this is, yeah, I know. I think what we're left with this was no policy on a spend over X dollars is going to trigger some sort of extra letter. But generally speaking, a newsletter, maybe the target support we start off with, that can direct to other resources, the YA website, the new website, you guys' website's up and going. Talk about meetings, any big things that we know on the horizon coming up that people might be interested in, sure to come to meeting. Talk about that. This is going to take the initial stab at writing as needed. Attempt to socialize at our next 12 meetings. Okay. All right. Good. That was one of 2 things, guys. I have one more thing.
Oh my God.
You better sign some papers and
Oh.
stuff, or hand them to Guy, so he can sign it.
I think we just have, since we're not signing the insurance this evening, we set the minutes. And I am going to have to go in just a moment to get to the airport.
You had something else, Patrick?
What's that?
So this is just an execution.
So we can hold this next meeting. What is it? I really want, I forgot about Phil was sort of the active door hazardous waste stuff. I'd like to actually get that on a schedule or some sort of solution for this. Right now, it's very haphazardous. It's, we're gonna do this,
Thank you.
once every 3 years, or, we're gonna one in the spring, one in the fall. But this is an excellent newsletter article. It said hazardous waste disposal. Right now, they have it haphazardly. I got a bunch of stuff in my garage. I don't want to just leave it there because I don't know when we're going to do this again, but I got nowhere else to put it.
What do you got?
Let me help you. It's a bunch of paint, stain.
Okay, so in your paints, the reason I won't take paints is they're liquid.
I mix them up with that.
What you do is you just take the tops off. Now that it's 100 degrees outside, take the tops off all your paints. and let them dry.
Back in a week.
Then they will take them.
Well,
in the trash.
Waste management.
Waste management will take them in the trash if you let them dry.
I'm not sure if that's helping with that.
It probably does not help with air pollution, but
You gotta wonder how they do it in Fort Worth when you ship them over there. I
What
think they do it the same way.
I'm basically saying is, hey, kids, come knock all that paint over the garage, 'cause that's what's gonna
Now you
happen.
gotta set it outside in the sun. So they need to be on.
But I don't mind waiting as long as they know something's coming. You know, I just don't know when it's coming. I think most people like that. They'll stack it in the corner, in the garage,
You need to get rid, you need some,
but we need a
space
space plan around this.
in that space for it.
That contract's coming up,
It is.
and now's the time to decide whether we add that.
So I'll put that on next meeting, next agenda, make sure we talk about the films here. I don't have a problem with 1A organizing that, as long as we know what's gonna happen. That's everything I've got.
Anybody got anything else? Motion to, yeah. Motion. Second.
So we're gonna talk, one thing we put on next month's meeting is the irrigation water.
Yeah.
We were gonna talk about that and look at the budget for that as well.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of standing things that, something we missed in the full script too, which we put on the agenda, was supposed to be going over the road fixes every month. No, we haven't done that, no, we haven't done that. I hear there's a list, haven't seen a
The
list.
criteria, I think the other thing was, did you read the criteria? What is the criteria that?
I got the criteria for sidewalks, but the sidewalk one.
Well,
I will
saw
never
it.
get
Did
my
we-
sidewalk fixed.
I thought we were going to get a copy of the criteria, of how does it decide that it's bad enough to be?
So that was the effluent water we were gonna talk about as far as the cost on that. When that budget comes out, before that budget comes out, we need to figure out which district should pay for it, 1C.
Mm-hmm.
And,
So they already have agreements.
This is like $300,000 you would spend on golf course
Effluent
water.
water, golf course water.
He'll talk about it, refilling lakes or whatever, but it's really all.
Plus the golf course.
All right, so we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice to meet everyone.
In your work.
Yes.
I don't take off yet, I need to just sign some stuff.
See you guys.
Take care. See you, man.
You gotta get another thing to sign here, guy. Yeah. This got balled up
So the checks are all done, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's another good question though for us, Patrick.